I grew up a competitive dancer, so a very unorthodox way of kind of coming up as a kid. I feel as if like I've been working full time almost my entire life. You know, I started taking dance very seriously. I think by the time that I was in second grade, my dad was my dance teacher, and it was serious, but I loved it. And it was difficult, of course, obviously having your father as your coach. He only wanted the best for me. He wanted for me to, you know, obviously take things, go the distance with my dance career. And, you know, that came with a lot of added stress and pressure. And of course, I just wanted to be like normal, like everybody else, and be goofing around in ballet class. And I wasn't really allowed to do that. So I goofed around even more and pissed my dad off and, you know, all of the things. But I'm really grateful for that being the way that I grew up, because I think it really did shape me into the woman that I am today. And I am really made me a fighter. It really made me confident, believe it or not, even though, you know, there was so much happening as a teenager growing up in the dance studio. This was a different time. So, you know, you were able to yell at kids for being a little chubby and, you know, for many, many things. So I had all of these, you know, different insecurities growing up. But I think that they really formed me into a very confident person. And when I did go out into the work world, I felt that, not that I felt, I knew that it was true, that I really couldn't be outworked, right, in a way, because I had that work ethic from, you know, being young. So fast forward, I go through the whole competition circuit. I graduate high school. I fall in love. Crazy, tumultuous relationship. I decide to like stop dancing for 2 years and, you know, whatever. I end up getting out of that relationship, thank the Lord. And I moved to New York City to go to FIT. I moved here when I was just about to turn 20. And it was the first time that I actually was reintroduced to dance on a level. It was the first time that I was introduced to dance in a way where I could do it for myself. They had a recreational dance team there. And there was no dance competitions. There was no judges. There was no nothing. We just went there to put on a show. And those girls were actually auditioning for the Knicks City Dancers, which is this iconic dance team in New York City. If you're not familiar with it, it is the dance team for the NBA team for the New York Knicks. So all the girls were going to the audition. They were like, Paula, you have to come. I was like, no. I'm like a trained dancer. I will be damned if I'm out there like shaking my booty at Madison Square Garden. Like, I'm better than that. And I decided to go to the audition anyway. And of course, I end up making the team of like 500 girls, which was a crazy experience. And that really, I feel like, started my adult life. You know, I was 20 or maybe I was 21 actually at that time. And I was kind of thrust into this world of professional dance, not just professional dance, but for one of the most iconic teams and for one of the most famous dance teams in the world. And I was doing all of that while I was at school at FIT as well, which was crazy. So
that is nuts.
Yeah. So I did that for 2 seasons. Really wild ride. Again, like another one of the highs, lows, right? When you're in a situation like that with any type of, I think, dance or modeling or hosting or even influencing, you know, it's like, it's hard because you're constantly looking at your face. You're constantly looking at your body. You're always feeling insecure.
Yeah.
So there was some really incredible times, but there was also some really low times. And so I did that, as I said, until I graduated college. Ended up dancing for another 2 years after college. And then when I turned 25, like life got real. And my mom was like, you know, you're going to have to get health insurance soon. Like, you're coming off the parents' plan, so you got
the worst thing that any 25-year-old has heard.
Literally, it's like, okay, she's like, you have to become an adult. And
it's really hard. People don't realize how hard it is.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, that's when you are really forced to figure out what you want to do with your life. And thank God, because if you had to really figure it out at 18 years old, I think that you would be screwed.
Oh, for sure. Well, they don't really teach you that in school.
They don't teach you anything in school, unfortunately.
But you figured it out.
I figured it out. But so the crazy thing is so there was a 2.5 year lapse from when I got my degree to when I decided that I was going to actually enter the workforce. The whole world changed. I had my degree in advertising, marketing, and communications. There was no Instagram when I graduated college.
Wow.
When I went to go into the workforce, everything was Instagram ads, Facebook ads, digital marketing. I didn't even know what the job descriptions meant. I didn't know what a KPI was. I didn't know any of those things. I didn't learn them. So I was like, okay, do I go back to school? Do I like get my real estate license? Like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And at that time of my life, the only luxury that I could afford was my Equinox membership. I always loved fitness. I always loved wellness. And I just walked into the Equinox and I was like, what do those people do that like are giving the tours? Like, I think I could do that, you know, why not?
Yeah.
So little did I know that when I walked into that Equinox that day that I would be shaping the next 10 years of my life because I have worked in membership ever since. I no longer sell Equinox gym memberships, but it is where I began this whole process. And that was, I will say, like, if you are somebody that is interested in sales, do a year or two at Equinox because that place, they have the best sales training that I have ever experienced.
Really?
Yes. And they do ongoing training. So you have to get through actually like a 3-week, it's basically like not a 3-week interview process, but it's a 3-week training program.
Yeah.
And they teach you everything. Like they're so good about like the psychology of sales and like they have a very specific way that they like for you to communicate numbers as to not like scare anybody. So like you never say the word 1,000. You say, you know, instead of 2,420, you'd say like 2,420. Because I'm a shark. Like, I'm a sales girl through and through, right?
Yeah.
This is like one of my favorite stories to tell people. I had this guy come into my office, like after he had been like in my dead pipeline, like one of those people that I would just hit at the end of the month, every other month. And he finally decided to come in like a year and a half later and he goes to me, you know, Paula, you were one email away from a restraining order.
Oh,
but I'm here
gosh.
to join. He was like, you never gave up on me. And
Wait,
I was
that's
like,
hilarious. Oh my gosh, well, it just shows like how driven you were. And I feel like that background in the competition dance probably was ingrained into you at a very young age and like
100%.
transferred over into adult life, which obviously is like such a blessing that you were able to take all of those traits into your professional career and like you're just killing it.
Listen, sending emails and talking to people is not hard. Lugging your shit with like 10,000 pounds of costumes and makeup and all of the other things around New York City while you're getting paid minimum wage, sweating your ass off on the subway, that's hard work. And then going to the audition and not getting the job and being told you're fat or ugly or not good enough or not tall enough, that's hard. Sending emails and talking to people is not hard.
I feel like the dance world is very similar to the modeling world.
Yes.
And I've had like professional ballerinas on before where we've talked about just body image and what they tell you in that environment that like is just so it's horrible for your character because it just makes you feel so belittled. And it's been like heartbreaking listening to some people's stories.
Yeah.
But I think what you said earlier about like being in a space where like it's your image that is like kind of like the sole, like, I guess, monetization. Mm-hmm. It's really difficult and it does like cause a lot of insecurities. And right now there's 4 retrogrades happening. I don't know if you knew about that.
Is that why I'm like shaking today? I'm like, I feel like I could all day. I've been like,
But everyone I've been talking to this week is like, I've just been feeling so insecure, like down in the dumps. And, you know, I think it's just unfortunately something that we all as humans struggle with. And I wish there was like an easy answer to be like, oh no, like just do this and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
But
well, here's the weird thing, right? Like, because I think that there's so much truth to what you're saying. But what I actually struggled with once I came out of that, because there was so much with the monetization of, you know, basically you finding your relevance through your work and what you look like and what your last job was. It was really hard for me to actually find my like power outside of dance and outside of me. Like it took me a really long time to be proud of the work that I was doing and to be proud of the jobs that I got because they weren't dancing for the Knicks or they weren't, you know, in so-and-so's music video or dancing at this award show. These things were like a little bit smaller. And it took me a really long time to like finally get to a place where even I was proud of the work that I was doing, even though I was working my butt off, to be honest with you. And that really didn't come like the real proudness and like, and the real proudness is not a word. The real pride in, you know, in my job and in my career didn't really come until like 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So it took like 5 years for me to get there and to find that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that what is for you will never pass you. And there were so many interesting things that happened in I always call it like my professional career, my actual job, like after, all of the dancing. There were so many interesting kind of things that happened that led me to where I am at today. And each step of the process, even though some of them felt wonky, they all really prepared me for what I do right now, which is, the part of my career that I'm so proud of. And I think that, I worked really hard to get here.